guys, BBI here. I want to stop and say thanks for tuning in and checking out whatever the video is about that's about ready to come up next. If you could take a minute and hit subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you enjoy what you've seen here, make sure to hit the like button. We'd greatly appreciate your support. Anyhow, guys, all that aside, let's get on with the show. Ladies, gents, and fine doll hairs amongst you all, we're going to work on this xforce, which was an 8-pill, 800, and has now been converted to a 12-pill. We're going to go in here and we're going to clean it up first. It's a little bit dusty, but the gentleman that owns this is a very particular individual, and he likes to have everything just perfect. So we're going to go and we're going to give this thing a little bit of love. This was an 8-pill originally, and as I touched in a previous video when I brought this out as an example, that xforce used to build to such a standard that you could order them up and say, hey, I want an 8-pill, I want it with the oversized heat sinks, so they'd send it to you in a 16-pill enclosure. You don't get this option anymore. Get it in a 16-pill enclosure, and they'd send it out, and because it was in a 16-pill enclosure, it allowed you to have the oversized heat sink. Okay? Well, this thing, obviously, at one point or another, the guy ordered it up. Whoever ordered this thing originally, I don't believe my friend was the original owner of this thing, ordered it up originally as an 8-pill, ran it, and sent it back and said, hey, why don't you go ahead and add another 4-pill section to it? Let's make it a total of 12. 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay? So let me recount. 4, 8, 12. Okay, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're going to give them a full resistor upgrade, full power wire upgrade. There's only 3 wires to feed this whole section. We're going to add one more. We're going to tie the bars together for safety reasons. And we're just going to basically give it a tune-up, make sure everything's right, and make it run absolutely the best it can. We're going to rebuild the combiner ring, and we're going to clean this up here. At some point or another, this son of a gun has come apart. We've got a little bit of carbon scoring there, but when we come back, that'll be cleaned up. That's just a couple minutes with some spray wash. And if we look in here, 5G, 4K, so that one's been changed. 5G, 7H, 5G, 4K. This has gone down once or twice. So when I go to test this thing, what we're going to do is we'll make sure to really take a good look at this with the FLIR and make sure that each one of the parts, each one of these transistors, this one and this one, are heating up and cooling down at the same rate. Because as I've covered in another previous video, when we have one that's popping all the time like this, usually what has happened is there's some contact issue with the heatsink. And then if we go down here, we'll notice that this is 4K, 4K, 4K. So what we know as a fact is this thing all had 5G transistors in it, in this 8-pill section initially. It must have broke. They sent it to xforce to get it repaired, and while it was there, they had it up-pilled. Okay, that makes sense? The only wild dog hair that we have out of the whole situation is this 7H transistor here. It is a non-red dot, or this is a red dot, and the rest of these are non-red dots. So it tells me that we're having a problem here that we need to go look at, which means we're going to have to pull this capacitor. We're just going to check everything around this and make sure it's right. Clean it up a little bit. Add another little bit better power wire to it. We're going to add longer power wires to it. We're going to build him a jumper with eyelets. We're going to braid the whole thing together and make it so you can hook it up to a supercapacitor in his truck. So, on that note, we shall return.
Space interplanetary missions to the most distant planets from the sun.
You guys wonder what I listen to all the time when I'm out here working? It's usually Audible. Okay, so here we are. We got the power wires are fully done. Now hold on a second. Just give us a second and I'll show you the pictures. So we went ahead and we did all the power wire upgrades. We added one. I went around here to the back and I've added a hydraulically crimped and soldered end and gave my friend Mr. P lots of power wire. We're going to go ahead and we're going to sweat some eyelets on this thing when we're done so he can make a direct bolt up for his current setup. We've got all the resistors pulled out. We're getting ready to make some new resistors, and we're getting ready to do the power wires. Power wire upgrade on the inside. Went ahead and checked all the capacitors over here. God, I'm not even in frame. Checked all the capacitors associated with this transistor. Everything looks good. I think the thing is just, it was overdriven really hard at one point, and is what it is. As I was going around, like here, there was multiple cutoff leads off of old 100 ohm resistors that I had to clean out of the solder work here and here. And there was a couple back here that were burned up too as well, which makes sense. I went through and I reflowed the back of the transformers, so now they're all nice and smooth and slick, instead of having a big gob of solder where the old power wires were hooked up. I cleaned off the back side of these transformers and got rid of all the burnt shmew, so now it's all nice and clean and looks pretty. I'm toying with the ideas if I want to relocate these two caps though, which I probably will do. Probably move one down here and put one over here or something. But yeah, we're on the downhill side of this thing. So let me get some power wires all hand wrapped, and we'll get those mounted, and we'll get all the resistors in, and then we'll move on to the test portion of it where we're going to test and double check the tune on it, which I'm sure isn't that bad, since like I said, it's a old Carl built box. I had a 16 pill from these guys that ran like a rape monkey back when I was a young man, before I knew how to build these myself. Yeah, those days are long gone, but unfortunately. Yeah. All right, well, give me just a minute. We shall return. The map torch is on the other side of the house and the other shop, and I'm too lazy to walk over and get it, so I'm going to do these little eyelets with this little butane torch. Do. you don't know how frustrating this is. I just shot the whole rap video for this, I thought. Packed everything up. Took this thing up in the house, had it all labeled and ready to go. Get out here, download all the videos off of the camera, and the camera proceeds to tell me that everything I thought I'd just recorded doesn't exist. So guess what? I gotta set it all up and do it all over again. So we got the lid off. God, my floors are padded. Okay. Let's drop the slug. It's like deja vu. I just had this all done. I had fun in that first video. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find any enthusiasm for take 2 here. Shoot. But the show must go on. So, you guys can sit here with me as I set this all up. Literally got done. Was all excited. I'm like, no, I don't have to do squat. Just turn that on, turn that on, turn that on. Let's come over here. Auto mode off. All right, let's get the bench 2 pill out. It's not that it's going to change the results any, it's the simple fact that I gotta double up my work here. Okay. So we're almost ready. Let's hook up the 2950 so that the average Joe, let's see what we got going on here. And let's grab this. This sucker is a jet engine. Set that up. Come over here. Grab a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Do her with a wiffle ball bat. Now I'm on the runs. A cop's got my gun. So right about now, time to have some fun. Okay. So I go to put the fans on this particular enclosure. And about 8 o'clock at night, I realize I don't have any more of these high flow, heavy duty, bad mojo fans that I've got. I only had 1, I need 2 for this particular job. So I call my fan guy. I said, bro, I'm in a bad spot. He goes, what's wrong? And I said, man, I gotta come over and see you. It's in the middle of the night. I hate to do this. So he's like, I don't care. Come on over. So while I was there, he showed me this. Hold on a second. Of course, now the battery on the camera is gonna go. Good. I'm good to record now for 3 hours. He goes, I'm thinking about getting you a load of these fans. I said, okay. So he's constantly trying to find new ways to get me new fans, and something's got a little bit more CFM. He goes, I want you to go try these out on something. So I said, okay. So this is, the big ones I normally use are about 200 CFM. I don't know what the CFM is on this one yet. I haven't pulled the data. All I know is this pulls a full amp more worth of jizz out of the wall to get the job done. Usually more amp draw translates to higher RPM. This thing's got an incredible blade count to it. It's also got counter-rotating fins to the body. This thing is scary. I got one more that's bigger than this for me to test. This pulls 3.3 amps. The ones that are on this box now pull like 2.2. We've got another one that pulls 4.5 amps. And supposedly is twice the amount of airflow as this guy. So, thank God it's got a guard on the back, because I'd be worried it'd chop your finger off. Woo! My little wire leads are hot. Imagine that. Call me electric kaboom. Okay, so, God, I seen him try to jump start his car the other day with a set of 22 gauge jumpers, and I was like, no! So let's go over here. Let's dial in our frequency here. It's really important that we show this every single video. Okay, we're going to punch up span. Wrong direction. Pay attention, Luke. Pay attention. You're putting your viewers to sleep. Okay. There we go. All right, so let's run around the band here real quick. That's a 1,000 watt slug in a 5x position. 5,000 watt slug in average. We're going to need it. 5 watt slug in reverse back from the Bird 10,000 watt dummy load. 2950 driving the bench 2 pill. Running into the recently completed, and I did this whole ceremony in the other video where I put this on there. I'm not going to reenact that. Like I said, take 2. This recently rebuilt xforce straight 12. Now what we did is we went in and we cleaned it. First off, it wasn't dirty to begin with. I just like having a really clean environment to work in, as clean as I can get it. Went in and cleaned it. We relocated these capacitors. We did the full power wire upgrade. We added an extra power wire. We gave you long leads like as you asked, to the length that you required. Hydraulically crimped and sweated on some eyelets. Put heat shrink on it with epoxy in it. Pulled this transistor out. Checked underneath it. Everything is good. Put the solder work back together. Full resistor upgrade. Retuned the output. Played with the input just a little bit. It was pretty close. They used to check these pretty good when they left the factory way back when. But then I went in and I cleared it. And the reason I cleared it is because when I went and I washed this thing with chemicals to clean it, if there was a clear on the board, which I believe there was, because this thing is, well, as you can tell, looks like new almost on the inside. I didn't want to take that clear off, send it to you, and within 3 or 4 years it'd end up being completely all corroded. So changed the output coil configuration quite a bit. That by changing this being spread to turning it and bringing the coils together is the difference in 300 watts peak. And that peak power going out of the dang amplifier translates to a whole lot less heat that is in the box, because if the RF can't come out, it backs up and goes into the components. Components run hotter. Just slid the capacitance to about just like that much is all it needed to happen, and it came right up. I mean, it came right up. So now that we got the layout, and oh yeah, the other thing is, like I said in the previous video, added that power wire in the back, but I gave you all new grommets in the back because the old ones were, well, this thing is older. I did call and I talked to the customer today, and he did tell me that he is the original owner of this thing. It shows because he takes very good care of his equipment. That at one point it was an 8-pill. He had a problem with it, sent it back, they repaired it. He said why it was there. He asked him to put an additional couple transistors in it. So I surmised right. I didn't know until now. I was guessing in the video, and I was letting the amplifier tell me its story. It's like you're the great amp whisperer or some craziness. But they start to tell you the story. You can look at them, and over time you start to develop the signs. You're like, you can see things. You're like, oh, okay, I understand what's going on. So here's where we sit. Let's make some power. What do you think? Okay. So 2-pill, 2950. Here's our principal frequency. Show it to you on the scope. Really impressive. I gotta be really careful. I cannot modulate this into this with that on. It'll super saturate it. So that could have been so horribly bad, I don't even know where to start. I quick keyed it for a second and looked up and went, wait a minute, that's backwards. Alright. Principle. Principle. So let me go over here and we're going to go measure, and then we're going to go occupied bandwidth. There's our statistics. As clean as a whistle. On that note, good night and goodbye. Okay, clean as a whistle. About 3,200 peak. About 1,000 bird trying to give us more. A whopping 3 watts of input reflect. That's what we're looking for. This is just plain Jane. Not hitting it too hard. I mean, you can drive this much harder. You can hit it with a 1x2. You can even hit it with a straight 4-pill, but with a 35 watt radio. That's all you're looking for. I mean, this is what the average guy is going to have as a radio and an average driver. And about 3,000 watt peak is great, because for every 4-pill section that you're going to have in an amplifier, 4-pill, 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 it's roughly 1,000 watts. So we know we're working. We're actually working a little bit better than what we should, with about 3,200 going out. So we're seeing a little bit extra over that 1,000 out of each section. That tells me everything's in balance, perfectly resonant, and nothing is starving for current. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 1, 2. So now we're going to turn on the jet turbine radio from Wolfman Radio. And the reason this is really important is the gentleman that owns this thing. He has recently invested quite heavily in the Wolfman technology and is shocked with the increase of bird power he's seeing in his setup. So we're going to show you this thing doing more bird watt than it should ever theoretically do. That's the reason we need that 5,000 watt slug. Remember, shouldn't really do more than about maybe 1,300 bird. So shut this off. Same amount of drive. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Turn on the 12-pill. That's like 2,100 average. It doesn't even compute in my head, but that's what we're getting. Please note, I got the mic gain way down on this thing. And the CBPA switch, that's ALC off. Okay, so now we're going to make it dirty. We're going to super saturate it. I know I don't have that scope set up right, guys. Don't be hypercritical. Relax. This is on the fly shot number 2 of what we're doing here. Now the input reflect jumps up a little bit, but it's still nothing that we need to be concerned with. 2,000 bird. Kind of crazy, I think. So now, Mr. P, you asked for it, and now you're going to get it. Caution, guys, loud noise are coming. For all of you wearing earbuds or, listening to us on headphones, or you're sitting here trying to watch this while your wife's sleeping in the bed next to you and you're watching YouTube in the middle of the night, You're going to want to turn the volume down because we are going to get loud. There's something about the fan pitch of these blades. Ooh, and I'm glad this guy's got it in the back of a big giant vehicle. So here we go. And we are moving a monumental amount of air through this, as you'll see when you get it on your end. There's little fins in there, they're not holding back that much air. But, in the same breath, it's moving a ton of air. More air, less heat. You guys are probably wondering why the peak numbers are jumping up. It's because it can hear. So the peak meter is actually sitting there dancing just a little bit. That's why. If I turn the mic gain off, that falls down and both meters read exactly the same. This is what I think is cute. Let me turn on the bird peak kit. Remember on the left is peak, 5,000 watt slug. On the right, 1,000 watt slug in 5x. Pretty darn close. That's actually really less than the bird peak kit. Just saying. It's a good little box. It's going to last forever. The fans are going to help a bunch too. Super overkill, but the gentleman that owns this thing is super particular about things. I've got a very special present coming for this guy. We've got a project that we're working on in the background right now for this particular customer that is jaw-dropping. We call it the copper mine. That's all I'm going to say. More on that to come in later videos, so make sure to tune in. Gentlemen, I got to go. I appreciate y'all tuning in and check this out. I'm sorry this wasn't as smooth as shot number one, but I guess I must have not hit the button or the camera had a brain fart. I have no idea. I don't know. But I know this one's in the done pile. So I'm going to get this thing wrapped up and we're going to go throw it on the counter for us to get a shipping quote, and it's out of here. Mr. P, I did take a minute and I fully cleaned the outside of this thing, even though it wasn't all that dirty to begin with. There was some dirt on it and I got it all cleaned up. So I'll slap the rest of the screws in it. Oh, and I gave you all new hardware, by the way, throughout the whole thing. The outside screws, these lid screws, are kind of getting a little white from oxidization, so I went and I gave you all brand new stainless steel screws, so I think you're set. Gentlemen, my name is BBI. And without a shadow of a doubt, I am the biggest mud duck in Idaho. I don't get to be here doing all this crazy stuff and getting to work on all these fun projects without all your guys' patience and support. And thank you guys. Come check us out. BBIamps.com. Come find me on Facebook. There's a link off my Facebook page or off my .com directly to my Facebook page. Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. I'm all over the place and I'm doing something on social media all the time. Facebook's really important because there's a lot of live feed stuff that I do that doesn't make it here to the videos on the Vijeo channel. So, and just like this is all on the video channel, nothing on live feed. I gotta get this thing up in the house. I got a messenger I gotta go work on next, a 2 drive-in 16. Very rare amplifier. Only seen one other in my life. I think it's pretty neat. It's gonna take a lot of work. So on to the next one. If it's your first time watching, click subscribe, help me out. Make sure to hit the notification button, that way you can follow along with everybody else. I gotta go. Bump bump. I see you, bye.